Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to Queen Flow. So I am so excited to be back with a conversation with my client, Donata. She spent a year inside the revolution. And if you listened to the episode that came out about 2 weeks ago, I was sharing how I was trolled. And it was just like a much bigger, just more interesting lesson. Obviously, me being trolled isn't like, in my opinion, the most interesting thing in the world. But it was very much of sort of like the sentiment that this woman was coming with and calling me, alluding to me being a scam artist and all these different things as I was simply sharing Donata's results and how she grew in my world and how she's grown in her company inside the revolution. And of course, mixed in with everything else that she's like doing in her brand and going from 10K to back-to-back 50 to 60K months without taking loads of private clients. I think she has like 4 calls on her schedule a month. Like she has a very sustainable company. And so I thought, what better way to share with the people? And I know I said that I'm pretty sure I said I would do that in the last episode as well, than to actually bring Donata onto the show. Also, she's just fun. It's Aries season. We can have an interview with another Aries, double fire in the room. So I know you're going to love this. And of course, I'm going to recommend that you come join us inside the revolution. If you are new to my world or don't know what the revolution is my membership mastermind. You'll receive the full premium product suite of all the feminine business strategies, energetics. We cover sales, we cover content, we cover money, we cover power, we cover like literally everything under the sun. You receive my entire program suite, which we know is quite rich. And very importantly, you have the customizations and the personalized mentorship to scale your own company to relax millions. I'm a huge fan of like, it's not that my way is the one way or someone else's way is the one way. We always get ourselves into trouble when we try to go about scaling business that way. My style of teaching and the way that I mentor you is always going to be like, what's going to work the best for you? What's going to work the best for your energy? How people connect in with you, where you shine. We're going to have different gifts and really helping you dial in that thought leadership, your sales strategies, your offer strategy, how the business is all woven in together and flowing. Obviously, like I'm quite creative, like creative ideas for growing your company because you might want to do something different than you've seen me do it. And it's like I have a lot of experience, of course, in this industry, and then having mentored hundreds of clients and grown my own business to multiple 7 figures in a few short years. And of course, my business sales and marketing experience before this brand to really help set you up for success so that we can get there as quickly as possible. And not just as quickly as possible, because I'm not just about chasing a high cash month, but with the most level of ease, with the most sustainability, and making sure that we're setting you up to where you've built a timeless brand, not just like a trendy little thing that's going to like come and go in a few years. Like that's something that is so important. We're in an era, right, where people are kind of not as trusting, and for good reason, right? We want to set you up to really be seen, known, experienced as a trustworthy authority, and to have the power of your work very much represented in your brand and your content and everything that you do. Because normally what I see is people are underselling themselves. I don't mean how frequently you sell. I mean in how you deliver your content and how you position your offers, all the different things. So I just love business. The Revolution is the place you get it all. We have hot seat coaching calls twice a month. We have Revolution exclusive masterminds twice a year. So those are going to be 6 weeks. Normally those would be $5K each if you were to invest in a 6-week mastermind on its own with me. So it's just like insane value for the price point of the Revolution. You're fully supported. This isn't like there's 100 people and you never get a question answered. And what I mean by masterminding is just talking to everybody else who's there. You are totally welcome to connect in with the sisterhood as often as you desire. But I do actually mentor everyone. Even if you're not on our calls, we do have a question thread. Like if for whatever reason you can't make it, so you can drop your question, I will answer. And then of course, when you're on live with us, then we get to come off mic and go back and forth. So it's just such an incredible space. Like most people who sign on stay for over a year, and it just makes sense. And we really want to be focused on long-term investing, really going all in and not just doing like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but like wanting to build a big company. And so no matter whether you're building your first 6 figures, you're stepping into 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, whatever it is, I am able to help you. And you will just love the multidimensionality of the work in my world, because we do, of course, cover all the business topics, but also just that deep frequency, the deep energetics, the deep building of your power. I always say money's drawn to power like a moth to a flame. the deep building into your relationship with money and like, you know, what I call practical energetics so that we can actually get results. And it's just been so cool. So Magnify, Manifest, Receive is live now. And the women in our mastermind chat, like, you know, I've had some clients are in there who've been there for years, and they're just talking about how their lives are transformed in such incredible ways, and the ways that like they are obviously like making more money, but also just their husbands are showing up for them differently and being like, oh, I just like want to make your life easier for you, and healing their own relationships to the masculine, because of course, you know, I teach about money as a masculine energy. And it's this funny thing where it's like, I just always see this relationship between our relationship to the masculine very much mirrored in our relationship with money. And in doing that healing that occurs through the energetic work, like one of my clients was sharing today, she was like, oh, normally I have like 1 to 2 men hiring me a year. I've had like 4 just this month. And like money is just coming in. I'm able to be so much more detached, and like, I just love my work. I love my world. And you can still join Magnify, Manifest, Receive. I have not yet raised the price. Now is a perfect time to join us because you can come in at over 60% off pre-sale. Ascendance, the mastermind, is live now, where we tune into your $1 million wealth energetics, really support you in the frequency of high levels of client attraction, and really tuning you to a fast, fun, yum business timeline. So I'm mentoring you directly. So when you jump in MMR, you'll still be in for Ascendance, and we're going to have live Q&A calls as well. You get instant access to the program. So it's a real vibe. It is a real vibe. If you don't know what Magnify, Manifest, Receive is, it is a wealth energetics container. So think about leveraging energetics as a strategy in your business. So we tend to learn business strategy, then we give ourselves a headache, even though business strategy is really powerful. And we're like, okay, I've learned 60,000 different things. Like, why am I not getting results? And of course, there can be the element of re-leveraging the right strategies, the right content, all these different things for you. But also, it's like, I will say, you can build the best funnel, you can hire the best ads team, like all these things. You do all the quote unquote right things, but if we've got wobbly energetics, like it won't matter if you have a perfect funnel if you still think it's like a stretch for you to just be making 10K sales left and right? It won't matter if you hire a copywriter, right? If you're not connected to your own soul truth that really creates the vibration on, and I don't mean a light version of your truth. I mean a deep version of your soul truth, which we activate inside Magnify, Manifest, Receive, that actually creates like the magnetism around your company and everything that we do. So I view MMR as the vehicle that brings the magnetism to everything that you do so that it can work, and it can work more effectively, and it can work more efficiently without you working more. And I always say, I've always been the one to get double the result with half the effort. Of course, I'm very smart at business. I would teach you that all day long. Come in the revolution. But it's also because my energetics have always been such a primary point of power for me, right? Because I focus on it intentionally, and I teach it all inside Magnify, Manifest, Receive. So this is all about rapid client attraction, breaking through upper limits, like upper income limits. This happens all the time. We're like, why can I break through this plateau? Why can I break through the glass ceiling? I've changed all these different things. I'm doing all these different things. Like, what gives? Right? And then really connecting to money through a frequency of desire over purchase, because of course we want to clear that scarcity out of your field and help you move through things you move through in business. For example, like your launches, and really not just calling it any clients, but like soulmate clients, right? And like I said, upper limits, and just like compounding the momentum in your company, all these different things where we're like, we want it, right? And so let's like make ourselves really smart the feminine way by dialing in the energetics. So join us inside Magnify, Manifest, Receive. The link's going to be in episode notes. You're still able to join at over 60% off, like I shared. Pop in for Ascendance, where I'm going to be mentoring you directly, which is super fun. We're going to have our live Q&A calls, and you will just love this program. Like, check out the enrollment page. Check out the results. Like, it will absolutely change your life. A reminder, you're always able to rate and review the podcast, DM your screenshot to me, or email assistant@jocelynkellyreid.com, and you are able to receive $200 off any offer in the company short of the Secret Money membership. And then, of course, you can just join the revolution too, and MMR is going to be included. So you don't miss anything when you join the revolution. Okay, I love you guys so much. Enjoy the show with Donata. Hi, Donata.
Hello, Jocelyn.
I'm so excited to be doing this, especially by the series events that occurred. that prompted this conversation. And what two better people to have it than two Aries?
I know. I don't know when this is coming out, but happy almost Aries season to
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
listening.
You didn't like us before. Now our
Get
birthday
ready
season is coming.
Get prepared to be sick of me.
Yeah. If I wasn't already annoying every other time of the year. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this will come out after I have released the episode on how I was trolled. And it's funny because you guys will have heard it, but it started with a conversation that I was having on the internet where I was like joking about how many people are online being like, I lead 7-figure movements, I support 8-figure entrepreneurs, like just flexing all these stats that they actually like don't have, or like my offer is a millionaire this, and like they haven't actually. Making $1 million does not make you a millionaire. I joke, I'm like, hubby's money and the corporate money do not count when you're trying to teach someone how to do it through this business, like all these things.
Right.
And you had responded. So like I was saying, I mean, it's true, but I was also just being funny. Like it was threads, like low stakes people, low stakes, not for everybody. Not for everybody is what I learned.
Like, can we chill a little bit? It's social media. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes.
So when I reshared the thread into my stories, you responded and you were like, yeah, when I had a call with you. So Janata was in the Revolution for a year. And in part of that, she had a private call with me and we were talking about scaling your current business as a business coach. And you are a very established agency owner, marketing agency owner as well. And so you've helped people step into 30K months, et cetera, like as an example through the agency. And I was saying like, let's leave those results separate because I know, just I've mentored enough people to know once we like bring in these like partial truths into the brand, we don't feel congruent inside. And there's this weird energetic where we don't then do the work that actually would create that result. And you keep wondering why you don't have it. So you were joking. You were like, yeah, I told you, and you were like, no, you're like, I never touched that line again. Instead, I focused on thought leadership. And of course, there's a number of things that you've done in your brand, but you've really become known for a particular conversation around content. And now you've gone from, 10K months to, multiple 50 to 60K months in a relatively short amount of time. And I was like, this is what happens when you do the work. So I share that thinking like, this is a good thing. I didn't share your screen grabs, but I just like shared the conversation. And the same woman who had come for me in the first post around people, quote unquote, stretching truths on the internet, basically like alluded to me being a scam artist. And then when I shared the actual receipts, meaning your and my DM conversation, she goes, I don't think I understand. And I was like, girl, I'm done. I am done.
Classic case of like, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Like if your reading comprehension skills are not there, we're not going to be able to continue this conversation.
We aren't going to be able to get, like, I can't make your brain start working. Like,
No.
Even if you're not on Instagram, it's pretty obvious what a screen grab is. And like, anyhow, so you know what? I was like, you know what? Let me just bring Donata on.
Here I am. I'm real. I'm not made up.
Here she is in all of her glory. To obviously, just share about your up level that you've had in business, which is so exciting, your experience in the Revolution, and obviously just more about you and your incredible company as well. So I'm really happy to have you here for a variety of reasons.
I'm happy to be here too because I listen to Queen Flow all the time. Like repeat episodes, like while I'm driving, while I'm in the shower.
And here you are.
And here I am.
You can be listening to yourself. You
In
know
the
you like
future.
that. You'll be like, preach, girl.
Yes. You go,
Yes.
me.
So, okay, before we go deeper, could you just share a little bit about yourself and just how you got into this business and a little bit about your background? Because you're a little like me with the corporate background and different things like that as well.
Absolutely. So this is so relevant to this conversation too, because my husband and I were millionaires before I even started this business. So we own this like gigantic property in North Carolina. We made money before.
You were a lawyer. We would
was a
expect
lawyer,
that.
yeah. So in case I didn't share that. Yeah, so I have a journalism degree, and then I went to law school because big recession. I was like, well, what else does a straight A 4.0 student do when there's no jobs available? Let's go to grad school. So I went to grad school at Duke Law, graduated, and then moved to New York for 5 years to work at one of the biggest litigation departments in the entire country. I think we were ranked like number 1 or number 2 at the time. Burnt the out. Completely, like, was getting migraines once a week, grinding my teeth, couldn't sleep, was losing a bunch of weight. Like, the stress was just not it. So we decided that we were going to move back to North Carolina. And by this time I had started a blog in law school as kind of like a creative outlet. My little journalist self couldn't help, taking on a little creative project. So I had started the blog and I was doing YouTube videos, and toward the end of when we were living in New York, I had gone viral on YouTube, got 22 million views, a ton of like new people coming to my blog and to my channel and asking me a ton of questions about how I was doing content, how I was doing social media, because I always had done it from a journalism perspective and not from just like some girl on the internet, like posting pictures of her food or whatever. It was a very like journalistic approach to women's lifestyle, blogging and vlogging. So I started having those conversations with people, and then I decided, well, I should probably just teach this online. People are asking me to coach them, so I might as well. And then we started getting requests to do the services for companies. And it wasn't just like other bloggers and content creators. We were getting requests or I was getting requests, me and my husband and whoever else I was kind of partnering with at the time, were getting requests to create content for like big corporations. So it morphed into, okay, oops, I have an agency now. Like, I was really young, guys. Before my Saturn return, any decision I made before that period of my life, any good decision, was made entirely by accident. I have no idea like what my brain was doing at this time, but oops, I have an agency now. So
common sense can't be taught.
I guess so. But you know that moment in your mid-20s where you like look back on how you were in like your early 20s and you're like, what was I doing? Like, I was not a grown-up. So that happened around this time. So I kind of went full on into the agency. After I quit my law job, we moved back to North Carolina. I kind of like half-heartedly interviewed for jobs at other firms, but I realized what I really wanted to do was just stick with the agency work I was already doing. We signed a massive client who was a national like network of retirement homes. So we were working for like 9-figure billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies. We're still an approved vendor at one of the biggest real estate brokerages in the country. So big companies we were doing content for and doing social media marketing for. And then I started missing the one-on-one time that I was getting with people back when I was kind of just doing it as a hobby. So I opened the coaching side of the business. And this is where I want to clarify to everybody and just like defend myself a little bit, because Jocelyn knows this, but you guys, I don't know what's in the episode before this. I was not lying on my sales page that Jocelyn was helping me with, that I was, making X dollar amount of, X dollars per month. It was for this particular offer, which was a coaching offer specifically. It was really important to separate the money that was coming from the agency side of the business and then the coaching side, because developing the coaching side of the business is a whole different animal. It is still one company, but it's run as 2 separate brands. So Coffee Date Media is our agency, and then the Donna White brand is the coaching brand. So.
And I did clarify. I was like, she was lying.
Yes,
I was just like, use it for authority, but it's a different conversation than like leading the people to like, I did this in this business.
Correct.
You were not looking to lie on the internet. This
no,
was
I was not. And if anything, I'm like so far the other direction, because I never called myself a 7-figure anything until we reached a 7-figure run rate in the business, meaning not like, oh, I'd made 7 figures over the course of my entire business,
like
all
14
combined
years.
years. Yeah, like I just, and we were, like I said, millionaires before I even started. So it was, if anything, I tend to lean the other way. But the coaching business took a while to kind of take off, and I was not used to that, having been so successful with the agency so early. So it was just a whole different ball game. So that's kind of the background. I meandered through several different career paths here, but we're back to what I know I'm supposed to be doing, which is great.
Oh, we love it. Okay. So I'd love to hear kind of like where you were in business and what was going on. Where did you find me? Out of curiosity.
I have no idea. I really don't know how I found you, because I know I followed you for a little while before I jumped into the revolution.
Yeah.
And the reason I was drawn to it was, first of all, side note conversation. I think if you're an expert in something, you have to get over this idea that like, if you're an expert, you can't learn from other people on that thing. Like,
Yeah.
I saw you doing content in a way that I could see what you were doing, but I didn't understand why you were doing it that way, because I wasn't on the back end of your business, like looking at all of your offers and what you were doing on the back end with email and all the things. So as a content expert, I was super intrigued by what you were doing. And so when I saw that you had created the revolution, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to get to talk to her about that, because there is a live portion, and I'm going to get all of her content programs. So I'm going to get to dig into her teaching on it, and then be able to talk to you live about how to implement that, or how to integrate it into the expertise and the thought leadership I already had in that area.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. I don't know how long I was following you before that, but you had created the revolution like in the fall of like
right at the end of-
2023.
It was right at the end of 2023. And didn't you join pretty early?
I joined it was like January or February.
Yeah. And then I just remember you were like, well, you seem to be kind of creating the kind of content people like, so I want to learn about this. I just remember you saying that part.
Yeah.
But also, like as you know, I'm not like, here's 4 tricks to like go viral. Like I don't do what I call Sally the internet marketer content.
The internet marketer content. What's so funny about that content is it's all created by people who literally have no idea about marketing.
Well, they're good at social media engagement. I'm like, show me how good you are at making money.
Correct.
Two different things.
Coming from corporate, coming from, the journalism world, and lawyers have to be very persuasive, right? Like especially litigators, you're trying to get a judge to do what you want them to do, preferably before you have to stand up in court and argue about it. But coming from that side of things, looking at what people were teaching as marketing advice, I was like, this is not marketing advice. This is like, be relatable and add value is not marketing advice. That is like how to make friends 101. Like that's not marketing. So when I saw what you were doing online, I was like, okay, this is marketing though. And she's applying it to the coaching business. And I want to see how and why she's doing that on the back end so that I can incorporate that into what I already know about marketing and I'm already implementing on the agency side.
Yeah, I love that. And so when you came in, weren't you around 10K months? That's where you're at about consistently in the
coaching
at that
side,
time.
yes.
And I just want to focus on that side so we don't start confusing people, since I wasn't involved at all in your
No.
agency.
Jocelyn has basically very limited knowledge of the agency. She knows it exists because I was very focused on talking about the coaching side of the business. So for the listeners, for the ones who may be confused, it is one company. Like the LLC is one entity, but we have 2 brands underneath that umbrella. So we really focused our time together on the coaching brand, and we were probably at like 10 to 15K months at that point.
Okay, amazing. And so you came in because you were like, she seems to be doing things differently, and I would like to just see what's going on and how I can be thinking about things. Exactly. And I loved the way that because we were chatting in the DMs, and I was just asking you, like, what was so valuable to you? And we have all these different like ways of learning, and I'd love to hear kind of like because I think what people do is they think they can watch somebody from the outside and like suddenly they're just gonna like get it and it's just gonna like start working. And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter if you sit on the email list. It doesn't matter if you just listen to the podcast. It doesn't matter if you just read their sales pages trying to figure it out in their social media and like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's very different to be in one, of course, it's very different to receive direct mentorship, but it's very different to be in a paid room, because what you're seeing on the outside is just everything that works. You don't understand like the psychology and what's going into and like what is happening on the back end versus the front end. And like all of these different, like businesses have a lot of moving pieces, regardless what you guys see on social media is like just the shiny outside, you know what I mean? But there's a lot else going on. And even from, how I talk about this concept of business intelligence of like why we're doing what we're doing and why we say and do things a certain way that would yield a certain result with a certain type of person. And actually build our brand the way that we actually want to be known, which isn't as simple as like, I teach you how to grow your business to
Right.
5-figure months. Like there's so much else psychologically that goes into it. And I love marketing as well, as you know. So I would just love to hear kind of like what was, although I don't think you were around me that long before you joined the revolution. I don't feel like it was a long.
It wasn't super long. It was maybe a few months.
Yeah. So anyhow, what it was like for you being kind of like on the quote unquote outside, because you jumped in straight. You hadn't been in any of my paid offers at all before, right?
Nope, I hadn't been in anything.
Yeah.
Well, why would you? Like, you've structured the revolution. Like, guys, if you're listening and you haven't jumped into the revolution yet, like, you literally get everything. What are you doing? Like, just
at a
like,
very
why
reasonable
start paying for
price,
things
like
individually when I could just get everything.
that's how I feel. That's why it exists. I'm like, let's not spending time being like, what should I buy? Let's just get it all, get our mentorship, and be like moving. You
Correct.
know?
Yep. So, but being on the outside of it, like you mentioned, you can see what Jocelyn is doing from the outside or what Donata is doing from the outside, but you don't know why we made the decision to do what we're doing. And you also don't know if, like, is this an experiment? How did it even work? Like, you can see engagement, you can see people's likes, you can see how many shares a post has, you can see how many comments it's getting, you can see if people are commenting the little ManyChat keyword, but you don't know how many sales that resulted in. You have no idea where, comment XYZ for my free thing. You don't know where that sales funnel is ending up or what the point of it is. What's the return on ad spend? Like, there's so many things happening in the business that you can't see from what somebody's posting on social media and the external engagement metrics that you can see on somebody else's posts. So I could see what you were doing from a content perspective because that's my area of expertise. But I couldn't even begin to think about how to integrate that into my own strategy until I knew why you were doing what you were doing and what was happening on the back end and where it was leading.
Yeah. And I love that too, because I think about things like that also. It's like when I join spaces, I'm like, it's not just to learn how to do a thing. It's like I always say, I want to build my business intelligence. I want to build my mind to be thinking like the person who has that result, because that's largely what's creating the result. There's lots of people doing quote unquote similar things on the internet.
Right. And being good at business and being good at social media does not mean they're effective at teaching it to somebody else or mentoring somebody else in that area. Like, there are so many products and so many people whose coaching style is, I'm going to teach you exactly what I did. 1, 2, 3, do the steps like me. And then the second you don't want to do it the exact way that they did it, it's like, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry, you got to do it this way, or like you're SOL. So that's part of what attracted me to the revolution, because I could see the variety of people who were in your world. And that's how I coach my clients as well. I never want my clients to have a cookie cutter version of my company. Like, how many of my clients actually need to have a whole ass agency? Nope, not very many.
Right. Well, it's also not realistic. And I'm like, but actually that's what's mostly taught on the internet. If you go to someone who teaches any type of strategy, usually it's just like 1, 2, 3, do it like me, because I genuinely believe that's all they know how to do.
Correct.
Right. And so like, you have a business background. I have a business background, right? I support business to business clients. I have coaches. I have women who are more energetic. I have women who are more like came from the corporate world. I've got it all. Yeah. And also my background like supports that. And I think there's a big difference between a coach who like made some money doing something one way, and now I was going to show you how to do it that one way, and someone who genuinely understands business and also like the uniqueness of individual people. Like, everyone can't just do everything one way and expect a certain result. Like, it's just, or else everybody would just be flying. And it's just, we don't work like that. It's like, we don't all do relationship one way. We don't all do life one way. Like, why would business be that? But I really think, and I know you've heard me talk about this at length, that people are tricked into believing that that's going to be the case, because school teaches you that that's how you're going to get where you want to go. Yep. So it's not like even based off lived experience. It's just decades of programming from the school system that, if you just do 1, 2, 3, you're going to get there. And so they just keep, even in entrepreneurship, they do it over and over and over and over, except there's no teacher like giving you an A. It's literally like, okay, is your business growing?
Yeah. Are you having money come into your bank account? Like, that's the A.
Yeah.
And you could be doing quote unquote all the right things, but if you're not getting business results from those things, then they're not the right things. So we need to find other things to do.
Yeah. And like I will say there's like a frequency answer and a strategic answer to
For
everything.
everything.
And it doesn't mean that like you did it to like sometimes like something was working and it doesn't work anymore. Like markets evolve. I know we've talked about this. The way people buy has genuinely shifted, right? So we have to understand too that it's not just like, okay, like the way that I ran business 3 years ago is very different to how I run business now. So we need to understand like I just feel like people don't understand the depth of understanding that is required to scale a multiple seven-figure company. And it goes beyond like getting something down and getting the sale right a few times. And it's like, they're like, oh, I've learned that before, just to your point. We're like, oh, I know content. So like, I don't need any support here. But it's like, okay, guys, well, the embodiment of what we know and what we actually know is showcased in our results, like the end.
Exactly. And sometimes getting somebody else's perspective is just to speed things up. I firmly believe that my content strategy would have eventually resulted in me being where I am at now, but having your support in that area and another, several other mentors support in a lot of different areas sped things up. And I'm
Which is
impatient.
the point. It's not like you weren't going to get there anyway, or we're like helpless without. It's like we want to come from like, yeah, of course I was going to get there, but I want to get there faster. And I want to understand like how this person would think about this topic. Like maybe it's different. Maybe I'm not seeing something that could dramatically like support and ease my timeline.
Exactly. And I think this also goes back to our conversation about how people like don't even realize when they're being marketed to. I think that critical thinking, especially in the online business space, is sort of massively lacking.
I would 10,000 times agree.
And I think people jump into it thinking like, oh, this person is telling me they're going to show me exactly how to do this, this, and this in this order. And it gave them these results. So if I take the same steps, obviously I'm going to get the same results. But that's marketing. Like they're making it sound easy because that's what marketing is. They want you to buy the thing where they're teaching you something so easy that's going to get you great results. And is it possible that, that strategy is going to work for you? Sure. Is it helpful to know the options that you have available? Absolutely. I'm not saying those things never work, but sometimes the step-by-step strategy that got this person these amazing results, them describing it as the easiest thing in the world or the thing that's the one thing that you need to fix your entire business and life, that's the marketing piece.
And usually now it shows up in the form of their custom chat GBT is all you've been missing. I'm like, that has to be my favorite one in the past 6 years. I'm like, guys, eventually you're going to have so many custom chat GBTs. They all sound the same. Eventually, if you go buy a custom chat GPT, also train your chat GPT, start giving them the same things, you start getting pretty similar back.
Yep. Because ChatGPT is not original. It's not a human brain. It can't generate ideas. It's a language model, which is why, by the way, it gives wrong answers. Like I think Purdue found that it give wrong answers like 50% of the time. So if you're asking ChatGPT questions like it's a search engine, like don't do that anymore.
And there's value. Like I actually love ChatGPT, but it's that illusion that like ChatGPT is not going to give you the thought leadership you don't have. ChatGPT isn't, people be like, oh, you can build your whole email funnel in here. And I'm like, you can optimize an email you've created. If you just try to put in one concept and you're like, oh, spit out 7 emails, they are mostly
for sure.
Even on someone's custom ChatGPT platform that they claim does 6,000 things, like you have to still input with the level of depth and knowledge for skill set that you would have had to build to have that result anyway. Like honestly, the way that I feel like it works best is you already know what you're doing and now maybe you're shortening it, simplifying it, presenting it visually differently, but like it's not going to be your brain. And it's like this kind of stuff where I'm like, people are deluded. But I use it, just not in the way that it's being sold.
Correct. Yeah. And I've used ChatGPT as well, but it's not a substitute for your business brain. It can help. It's like a little assistant.
It's an assistant. Exactly. It's like a brainstorm buddy.
And I've used it to, create email sequences before. But what I do is I say, all right, this is the messaging for the product that we're selling. This is the outline of the emails that we want to send. These are my best performing emails to date. Like, this is the sales page for the offer. Please write me these emails. Okay, now I'm going to go revise those. It just takes the writing time down. But all of the thought leadership that went into the offer and into the messaging around the offer, that's all
And knowing
mine.
what to put in the emails in the first place.
Correct. Yep.
Because people be like, oh, all my email strategies are in there. I'm like, girl, please. People will believe anything. And these days, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, and the thing that makes me crazy about it is it's being sold as a solution, but I'm like, you were already making multiple seven figures before you brought this ChatGPT tool into your company. So of course, right, it would just optimize you and started working. Like, it gets you going faster, but you already know everything to do with it to get it to work. This is not how you grow your brain to a point where you would be someone who is making multiple seven figures or whatever it is.
Right.
Just like, in my opinion, a content framework does not do jack for you if you don't have the thought leadership to put through the framework, because it's just like, you put it in, you get out, regardless of how shiny the quote unquote prompt, like the custom ChatGPT or the framework or whatever. Like, we still need to have substance and we still need to understand business.
1,000%. And I think the good news is for the people who do have a business brain and are interested in learning about business is the people who are sort of leaning on. Have you ever seen that meme that's like, men will do anything except go to therapy?
No, but like, I hear
like
you.
certain people. My husband's great. Jeff, if you're listening to this, you're amazing and I love you so much. He will not be listening to the podcast. But you know, certain people will do anything except develop their business thinking and their critical thinking. And I think for those of us who are willing to do that, that's how you're going to stand out and fly in business, and particularly in online business, but in any business.
I agree.
Forward.
Hello, gorgeous. I hope you're enjoying the episode. Isn't Donata the best? We just had the best time. And, you know, I was pretty spicy, as I usually am. But how could I not be? Anyhow, this is your reminder to come join us inside the revolution. You will love it. You will love it. I am your bestie when it comes to you being an energetic, spiritually based human who's desiring to grow your company. And of course, like, as you see with Donata, she calls herself, you know, more woo curious. And there was so much that we were able to help her on with, like, opening up to how she, you know, was able to master her own energetics in a way that it was taught differently. I always say that I'm very good at practical energetics. So you're not just floating around on a cloud. It's like, we know what to do with the information. We have a much better blueprint for ourselves and like what's going to contribute to our magnetism, our growth, like all the different things. And then of course we go deep on the strategic and content components and sales components and all the different things, offer stacking, offer creation, all the things that make the juice turn as well. And it's just such an incredible community of women. Like, I attract the best humans. I know I'm always saying it, but I really do. Just like grounded, open. We talk about business. We talk about life. We talk about things that are happening on the planet. We talk about energies. Like, we talk about everything. We talk about everything because there's so much about the world that, and just what is happening in the world and how energetics on the world work, and the psychology of people and all these different things, the current environment, everything that influences like what's going to contribute to the growth of our companies and what is really going to help us lead powerfully, right? And have the impact that we desire to have. So come join us inside the revolution. If you are inside of Enchanted Sales, the Secret Money membership, Magnify, Manifest, Receive, or if you've purchased anything in the past 30 days, you are able to apply credits. So you can reach out to my team at assistant@jocelynkellery.com, or you can shoot me a DM. We'll help you with your credit. Otherwise, come all in. If you want to start somewhere, highly recommend joining Magnify, Manifest, Receive, which is the wealth energetics activation for rapid client attraction, blasting through those upper income limits and connecting with money through a place of desire over push. You're really learning business energetics. It's such a cool space so that you can bring the magnetism to everything that you do. All the details are on the enrollment page, exactly what's covered, which you have access to. Results from, we're on round 7. Like, this is time tested, results proven, such a powerful space. And my women are always blown away because they're like, oh, these things just, everything starts moving. The clients start coming in, the ideas download, and it's like, we get out of our minds. And it's like, but like, it seems so easy all of a sudden. And that's the power of energetics. And that's the power of energetics in my world. And you know, I'm the queen of ease over here, relax millions only. So I want you experiencing that in your company as well. And it is absolutely available to you. So you're still able to join MMR at over 60% off with your first payment of only $139, or simply pop into the Revolution where it's going to be included anyhow. And then you'll also have that deep personalized mentorship, et cetera, et cetera. Although right now, if you come in the Revolution, you're still in time for Ascendance Mastermind. And we do have 2 hot seat coaching calls that are going to be coming up as well. So if you have any questions, just shoot me a message. I love you so much. And let's get back to the episode. So what was supportive for you then in the Revolution? Like, what were your favorite programs? What did you love? Kind of like what contributed? Because obviously you've now, you know, had a fast rise after coming in being like, oh, what is going on? Like, I know in a way, like I'm smarter than the results that I'm creating. Like something needs to evolve. So I'd love to hear. And of course, like we work with different people on different things, but in terms of like the impact of being in my world and in the Revolution and the programs and being behind the scenes and all of that, like what was most impactful to you and contributed the most to now you having actually 5 and 6x your income, your monthly income, which we love?
Well, I think I joined the Revolution for not only the live portion with you and the call that we got, but also for hottest shit on the internet. Like that was the program that I joined for. And then I was like, of course I'm going to want, like once I'm in there, I'm going to want all of her other stuff anyway. So I just wanted everything. But hottest shit on the internet is the reason I joined. And that's probably somewhat interesting to people because I am a content expert. That's what I do. I had been running an agency for several years by this point. But what was so great about that program is I had thought leadership around content. Like I have my own, I call it the C4 marketing framework. You know, basically every person who's ever been a client of yours, 4 things have to happen for them to become a client. You have to capture their attention. You have to connect them with your brand. You have to convince them of the value of working with you, and you have to convert them to a client. Like all of your content needs to do that. And nobody completes a step before they do the step before. If you can't capture their attention, you can't sell them anything. If you can't connect them with your brand, they're out before they can even be convinced to come work with you. So I had the thought leadership, I had the framework, we were using it in the agency, but what I really needed some more practice with was mobilizing that in my own content to sell the offer that I was selling in the coaching business. Because it, you know, as a little academic bookwormy kid, it's nice to just be like, and here's my framework and I'm so smart and here it is, everybody. But like being able to describe it in a way that it performed its own function on itself and captured, connected, convinced, and converted the people who were the right fit for my offers into the offers, that hottest shit on the internet was like crucial for that because you're so good at taking your thought leadership that's in your brain already and what you're already doing with your clients and translating it into marketing language that actually is effective.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is sometimes where, you know, we can be a little, it's never bad to be smart, but it's a little, I'm like, people don't just value it because it works.
No.
People don't just value it because it exists. They don't really care that you had an agency. They don't care that I went to Penn. They don't care that you went to Duke. They don't care. You know what I mean? Like not when it comes to a personal brand and really like capturing people emotionally.
Yeah.
We're in a very emotionally driven industry.
We are. And I think the other thing, and this has nothing to do with any of the amazing programs that are inside the Revolution, but the other thing that was like so great for me about it is I had a little bit of a healing experience with you, Jocelyn, because I was the kid that was always too loud, always talked too much, too this, too that. Too big of a personality. Like got told if you were just a little less, people would like you more. And so I think unconsciously I had sort of brought that to my personal brand and it just wasn't hitting like at all. Like I was toning myself so far back, and then to see you just so confidently step into the girl with a lot to say and yeah, I'm rich and I'm smart and I've got what you need, and like just all of Jocelyn was there on display, and I was like, you know, this is a really healing experience for me because I know Jocelyn got in trouble for talking in class, and I also did, and here she is just crushing it. And so I feel like I've just not only stepped into like the mechanics of how to mobilize the thought leadership into my marketing, but also how to bring more of me to it.
Yeah. Well, you're getting paid to be yourself. I mean, this is what people don't understand when it's like, I have a great product. I have all the great functional things they told me that I needed to have. And I'm like, and you're building a personal brand. So there's lots of people to buy great products from. There's frankly lots of people have incredible results coming out of their world. Yeah. But like that extra sticking point, I'm always talking about getting paid to be yourself, right? Not just getting paid to solve a problem. Because also if you want like, high ticket sales and long client retention, all these different things, like people are really there for you. And they're there for what they're gaining by being in your frequency, like in addition to what they're learning. And they will not know what that is if there's any elements that are being Sally the internet marketer and hiding and all these things in the brand. You might be like, well, Sally's making money. I'm like, Sally's making very transactional money. Sally needs a ton of new sales to keep going. And you want a business that of course is heavy on new sales, but you also want like big client retention. And we don't have people who come in, stay for a year, stay for years if there's not that connection to who you are and the brand. And I don't think people understand how important it is to build a strong personal brand.
And what's so funny is I never had an issue with client retention. Like my clients stay with me for years. Like once somebody's in, they are locked in forever.
Well, you know what you're doing.
And the problem I needed to solve for was taking that magical experience and translating it on the front end, on the front of house, so that people could see that that was the experience that they were about to have. And we started running ads a few months ago, and finally being able to take that and put it into content that works in a very short amount of time to cold traffic was really the game changer in terms of multiplying and multiplying again the revenue in that side of the business.
Yeah. Well, and this is what ads are for. I'm like, get everything working and then throw gasoline on the fire. And you can get very far without them. Like I've made millions of dollars without them. And I think they are great, like grease in the engine. You know what I mean? It's like, it's smart. It's like things are working, like throw gasoline on it.
But Jocelyn, if you were so good at marketing, you wouldn't need ads.
I don't think that.
No, that's a comment that I got.
Is that what people say?
That's a comment that I got on.
I was like, what? Ads. I don't get it.
No, that's a comment I got on one of my ads. These bros come, and first of all, it's always somebody who's like not doing anything online. Like you go to their profile and
there's like no face, no followers, no posts. You're like, thanks, Jimmy.
Or their content is trash, and you go there and you're not impressed. But anyway, I always get these comments from these dudes like, oh, well, like they're always trying to one up you on your own content because they can't pay for their own traffic. So they like co-opt yours and try to get in your comments and like take over.
Yeah. I mean, people do that organic. I'm always like, what are you talking about? Like you smell like fish. Like I can tell when someone has left a comment who's just trying to become visible in my comment section, I'm like, I don't even need to look if you're following me. I already know. Like I mean, people must be teaching this because otherwise, why are people doing it?
People are absolutely teaching it. When I tell you the dissertations I have to delete off of my paid traffic of people like trying to prove they're smarter than me or have a better method than I do, like on my ads, I'm like, pay for your own. Like, what are you doing here? I've had people argue that the Kardashians are relatable on my ads.
I don't even need to get into that. I know you told me that and we've talked about it, but I don't want to like sidetrack to the Kardashians. I was like, guys, okay. If you think $300,000 worth of plastic surgery and billion-dollar empires and all of these things are relatable, then they're doing their job,
right?
Because you think that you can buy Skims and be like Kim, and like
suddenly come with the shapewear.
Yeah, I mean, I love Skims. I love my Skims underwear. It's like a fantastic product, but it's like, but that's marketing. That's what I'm saying. People don't even understand what marketing is. I'm like, yes, of course they want you to feel like it's quote unquote relatable. Well, it's not going to be the experience of 99.9999999% of people.
And this is what happens when you follow somebody's step-by-step method without any sort of critical thinking whatsoever. Somebody told these people, find somebody in your niche. Like when you see an ad, make sure that you say the exact opposite of what they're saying in the ad in their comment section. Hopefully, they've got so much traffic, they don't catch your comment right away and delete and block you, which is what they'll do immediately. And then somebody will see your comment on their paid traffic and follow you instead of them. Like who was taught that strategy and thought, this is really great. I'm going to do that. Like there's like no thoughts, just elevator music.
I don't know, but I'm just assuming. I just wanted to check one other thing. There was something you said to me that I wanted to bring up too that I can't remember now. In our messages. I don't know, but I'm assuming people are teaching this stuff. Otherwise, why are people doing it? It's the same thing where it's like cold DMing people, friending you on Facebook to immediately pitch you. I get pitch stuff. I'm like, did you look up anything about my company before you pitched me? I'm like, I have this whole brand built around no sales calls, millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we'll come in and do calls for you and get you to 5-figure months. I'm like, I was having 5-figure months in 2020. Did you do any research? Like I kind of like told the girl off the other day. I was like, literally, babe, you're wasting your time. Like, get a real business coach. I am sure your heart is in the right place. I'm sure you want this to be successful, but this strategy, I'm like, you have a family, like figure this out. This is not it.
No.
It's not one day going to start working.
And that, what's so funny is like, you and I are so on the
I
same
didn't tell her off
wavelength.
in a mean way, but I was just, usually I just ignore them. But I was like, sometimes you have a moment, just like I had the moment about the troll where I was like, you're going to get a whole podcast episode of attention because you want attention so bad. So I had like,
You wanted it.
you wanted it.
I got the time today.
And then my client responded. She was like, why would anybody call you a scam artist? You like show receipts for everything. I was like, exactly. I don't know. Because she's just trying to get attention. Meanwhile, on her, whatever, all the things that she accused me of, I looked on her website. She doesn't have one client testimonial, 0. Her, also on her threads is like, oh, what happened with this client without showing the receipts because it's threads. I was like, was I supposed to tag Donata on threads? Like, that's the weirdest energy. And like, I was like, do you even know how to use the social media platforms that you're talking about?
Well, I don't know. People are just wild. Like, and I'm glad that we're at this point in the industry where the trash is sort of taking itself out because
I hope so.
We've gotten to the point where things are just hectic for no reason. Like you said, get a real business coach. Can we stop with this?
Just pay for it and like get the show on the road. What are we? I'm assuming also maybe those options are cheap. I don't know.
I don't know because I've never been tempted.
Me
So
either. I'm
I've never
listening.
looked
I'm just
into it.
reading what you shared with me earlier to make sure I don't miss anything. But
No.
go ahead.
No, that's totally fine. You and I are so on the same wavelength because like 3 of the things you just mentioned, I literally just posted about, like getting solicitations in my DMs for people to be like, I'm gonna do whatever, and it's like something I don't need at all. They did no research. You know how many emails and DM requests I get for like video editing? I own a content agency.
I own an agency.
Like, wild.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's a volume strategy.
Well, you're going to need to hire people. I don't know what level of volume you're going to need for this to work. There are so many other options. So many other options. Oh, okay. So I loved this too. So you're like, I love seeing behind the scenes of how you structure your business and the offer suite in particular. Super helpful in getting my creative juices flowing for my own company, even though we don't run the same business model at all. And I thought that was really cool. And I've heard that before from clients who like don't do business the way that I do. And so I'd love to hear too, just kind of like that value of like being behind the scenes, but also learning from me who does things differently to how you do it, both through your agency, obviously, and in your coaching business.
Well, I think if you're going to be investing in any sort of coaching, like why are you investing where you're just going to be validated in the strategies and the thinking that you already have? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is the point? So I like to learn from people who are doing things differently from me, or like even somebody who has, like you said, the same level of marketing expertise, but they're doing things differently, or there's something separate from what I'm already executing on. So it was really nice to see in the Revolution in particular, not just all the little programs that I got to dig into and like get my grubby little hands on, but how many different styles of offer there were and how you executed each of them differently, because then I could look and match that to what you were doing from a marketing perspective for each of these offers, because some of them do go through a launch cycle. And I could say like, oh, okay, this was a masterclass. She did this. This was a mid-ticket, program that doesn't have a live component. She did this. Okay, this is live. This is more of a long-term commitment. This is how she's marketing the Revolution. So being able to see not just all the different options that I have for offers in the future, like I can introduce a membership. I can introduce, more mid-ticket programs. I could, do pre-recorded and then do live cohorts. Like there's so many different options of how to do things. And it was so fun to see how you executed all of that and did them simultaneously with like not a huge lift on your energy. That was very admirable because for me, that seems chaotic, but you're doing it in a way that's not chaotic for you. So that was really interesting to see, but also then to match that with what you were doing on the marketing side, which was what I was originally interested in learning from you. I was able to see like, oh, okay, there's a different way to market different styles of offers. Like different things are the selling point about different
Yes.
containers.
1,000, 10,000%. I'm always trying to help people understand. And it's a learning curve. The way you market a masterclass is not how you market a program, is not how you market proximity. They are all different. People come in for different reasons. So I am so happy to hear this because this is one of the main sticky things. Like maybe someone, and this is why we see people be like, my audience only likes to buy low ticket. I'm like, you only know how to sell low ticket. Like that's not what it is. They're paying other people 5, 10, 20K, whatever. It's just that you know how to sell low ticket. So that's what they're buying from you. It's not these thousands of people are not all just implanted with some brain code that says I only buy $33 offers. Like that is not it.
And if you are only attracting people that buy $33 offers, like you have a messaging problem.
And probably a problem with your actual low ticket offer. Why are you marketing to them?
Right.
Even through the low ticket offer. And there's some people, like I have the Secret Money membership, which is going to be people who predominantly their access point into my world is a quote unquote low ticket access point. But the reason I have such high conversions off of that membership as well isn't because it's only people who are only going to pay $55 a month as their max for what they're willing to invest in themselves and their company.
Right. Your lower ticket offers aren't designed for a low ticket only client. It's designed for the client you want to be working with in your high ticket offers, but it is a lower ticket entry point.
Yeah. And like I always say, I'm like, and I guess it's like because low ticket, I feel like traditionally in the industry is also meant low value, where they basically just like spin you a bunch of fluff and then it's like, okay, and then come in for the next thing. I'm like, no, for me, low ticket is not low value.
Absolutely not. It's just really specific
like that is
value.
not what I do. It's specific value and it's just 1 to 2 hour value. Like there's only so much we can cover.
Right. That's so funny.
Yes. And so there was something else. You talked about your personality, which I loved that too. Thank you. I'm so happy that was healing because it's like the thing that is like the most captivating about us. It's always what we were critiqued for. All the things that everybody loves about me is exactly what I was always in trouble for.
Mm-hmm. And it's honestly like, with this level of visibility that has come with the running of these ads, it's also the thing that some people are going to hate you for still. Like, but you just have to get used to that. Like,
whatever. They get their own podcast episodes now.
You're giving them what they wanted, Jocelyn.
Not all of them, just a few special ones. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm like, cool, let's go. So the other program you said you loved, and it's one of my favorites as well, and I'd like to talk to you about this because I feel like, you tend to have more of like, you were a lawyer, you have a more like strategic mind, like that was kind of like your entry point in versus like, perhaps, I don't know if you're drawn to it or not, maybe being drawn to the more like energetic side of my work and things like that. And then as you know, I'm very much like run in both camps. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to hear, because you mentioned one of your other favorite programs was Overflow. Yeah. And you also had some cool things happen in Manifest, which was like a shorter experience, which was really fun. But I'd love to hear how the energetic side of the work landed for you, because especially coming from a more kind of like corporate traditional business background, we tend to be like strategy first.
Right, for sure. So I think what was so fun about learning the energetic side for me, first of all, I've always been a little woo curious. Like I've never been good at teaching it or like fully diving in, but I'm very interested in that side of the work. And I even do this like silly little story series sometimes called like Uninformed Astrology, where I'll just like read something.
I remember you used to tag me on them.
So yeah, like maybe it'll come back on my birthday. I'll do some more Uninformed Astrology with Donata. But the energetic side is fun because I think the way you teach it, again, was so good for me because you do straddle both sides. Because I always thought like I was just bad at it. Like, oh, I'm just bad at mindset, bad at, incorporating energetics into the work, you're just going to have to make up for it in strategy and like hustle and push on this side. But especially in Manifest, where you teach like how to come up with your own manifestation blueprint that works for you, I realized like, oh, I'm not actually bad at it. I've been doing it this whole time. Where my mindset is particularly strong and my manifestation is particularly strong is like, once I make a decision that I'm about to do something, like that's it. Like I'm not going back and forth and like, am I going to have it or not? So I never had to dive into a lot of these other methodologies that people teach with the energetic side, because my energy is all in from the beginning. So I used to just think that I was bad at it, but the way you explained it made it so clear to me that, okay, I'm already doing this. Here's where I can actually focus on it and implement it more or refine it more, rather than just trying to be like, and woo your way to 7 figures. If you just vibe at the frequency of millions, it will fall into your lap. I would be like, what the hell do you mean? What is that? So Overflow was great because it was like a practical application of all of the energetic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I love it, especially with money, because woo your way into 7 figures. Well, when was the last time that worked? I mean, it's not working for me either.
No.
It makes no sense. But I think that I honestly think a lot of energetics are also taught by people who have no command over money, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, where's most of the spiritual community at? And that's who's teaching it.
They're not going to want to hear that one.
But it's true. And it's not everyone, of course, there are, but a lot of the people who really have commands over money don't really teach it. You know what I mean? Or they don't teach it in that type of way. They tend to be teaching other things, and they're not owed that. But I'm just saying, largely the spiritual world, where we learned all this law of attraction, unwind 1,400 limiting beliefs a day. I'm like, girl, that's a full-time job for the rest of your life. Like, just
also, why are we focusing on limiting beliefs?
I have no idea, because you heard me say I did not focus on feeling worthy of. I'm like, that sounds really intangible and hard to measure. Like, I don't know any millionaires who woke up one day and said, I feel like I deserve $1 million. And that was the beginning of everything.
No.
Like, this stuff is just, I don't know where it came from exactly. Like, of course you want to have like self-value as a human, right? This is very important. And of course, like, we all always go on a journey there, or in my words, I just call it power, right? And that's the real thing. But it's like, we want to just become someone who would have that result. And I don't know people who are made millions of dollars who sit there unwinding limiting beliefs, who sit there vibrating on 7 figures, who sit there just like thinking things are going to fall out of the sky. And so my whole thing with energetics is like, let's learn practical energetics. Let's understand them strategic. It's almost like the way I think about it, you know how I explain. I'm like, let's learn how to use energetics as a strategy, not just be like having a 2-hour morning spiritual practice and focusing on thinking happy thoughts.
Right. And what I think is so important about energetics too is like, it's like love. Love is an energy, right? But unless you take action to show somebody that you love them, they're not going to know. So,
right.
Like, if you have a certain like vibe or frequency about something, it won't matter unless you push it through some sort of action or some sort of like physical 3D manifestation of how you're vibing for that to take place.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That's why I always teach it with like, here's what to do now, you know, because otherwise it's just, everything's just concepts. It's sort of like, you could have like the best strategy up your sleeve. It doesn't matter if you don't do anything with it. You know, it's just very interesting because I love energetics. It's like my second language, and I am good at manifesting and all of these things. But I also think I just have the gift of like breaking it down. Like, it's just something I'm here for. You know what I mean? Whereas like for someone else, that's not their thing, and it doesn't need to be, because that's just not their thing. Just sort of like teaching certain, you know, I will never be a fitness coach. Like, it's just, it's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like, we all have our different things.
We all have our gifts.
We all have our gifts. But I was curious, because I feel like that's not where you naturally go, but it is like part of my work, depending on, you know, what container we're running.
Oh, definitely. And I think you do such a good job too of, even in the containers where, or the offers, the programs, the master classes where you are teaching more of a strategy angle on something, you always do incorporate both.
Yeah. Well, because again, like I'm always saying, like, we're not doing monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
So if I only teach you do this, or here's the ways of doing this, you don't actually get any smarter. And you don't really see results until you can start taking what you're learning, understanding the why behind it, understanding, is it right for you? Is it right for you right now? Like, we need to have this level of critical thinking in order to really accelerate in business, because I see people not, and I see them tank their companies. They're like, well, the 8-figure mentor is doing that. The 8-figure mentor is selling like all low ticket front of house. And then they do that and they go from 40K months to 5K months, because they don't understand that mid-ticket, that 8-figure mentor has an ad strategy and has the volume to get 300 people plus into that low ticket offer every month. And then she has very powerful systems on the back end, converting them all the way up through 10K, 15K, 20K, 30K offers and everything in between.
Right. And
including those lower price points. Because I've seen people say the densest stuff on the internet, like critiquing some 8-figure mentor who's like, they're like, oh yeah, she says she's made $1 million from this $22 thing. I'm like, she doesn't mean, I'm sorry. Like, I just have to be so direct, because like people are like throwing so much shade and they don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, they're saying like, oh, she's lying, saying that like she made $1 million on it, literally on only the $22 thing. And I'm like, that's not what she's saying.
No.
She's just bringing them into her world through an ad strategy with that thing. And then she has this whole ecosystem that you're not paying attention to because you're too busy on Reddit dissing her.
Oh my God.
Instead of paying her to get behind the scenes, right? And
Right.
learning how all of that works. But the thing is, when we're not ready for that, it will tank your income. Like, I literally had a client recently who's already at 7 figures, and her income, she had already been having 100K months. Her income tanked last year. I'm like, it's okay. Like, the industry's evolved. We need to evolve how we do things. And then sometimes, right, people are deluded by the 8-figure mentor or whatever. And I'm like, I get that, like, she's, she had hired someone who was running more of that like ascendance model, blah, blah, blah. And I was looking at her business and I was like, you don't need this complexity right now. All we need to do, first of all, we needed to like re-message her high ticket offer for like where the type of person she sells to is actually at in this environment. And I was like, why are you focused on a funnel when we don't even have a high volume of high ticket sales right now? Like, you're distracted with the wrong things. I don't care that your masterclass isn't selling. Like, like, we need to just focus on, like, for everyone, I give them different advice, right? But in her situation, I'm like, we just need to get your high ticket sales flying off the shelf again. And then we can go in and get behind the scenes and do all this other stuff. But when you need to get your revenue up, you stressing out about why a masterclass isn't selling and your funnels aren't working is not it. But people see the 8-figure mentor who got all those things to work, who's telling you like, oh my God, I made $1 bazillion. And it's funny because like I'm talking about the people critiquing her. And now I'm talking about the people who overbelieve it where they're not ready yet. And I'm not saying this is her fault. I'm just using this example because it's common. And I receive people who've been like kind of deluded about where they are in business, right? And I'm like, can we drop all of this? And then as soon as we redid her sales page, redid her messaging, redid her like selling in this current environment, even when you're selling a 10K offer, they started selling that week. She had sold 1 the month prior doing what this other person told her to do. I was like, I don't know why you're doing that. I don't know why you're focused on a funnel. I don't know why you're focused on this free masterclass. We need to get you making money.
And this is why it's so important to have mentorship that allows you to solve for the right problem, like answer the right question. Because for me, like my high ticket was selling. My clients were sticking around. I did not have a client retention problem. My problem was traffic. So what was the solution there? Ads, a funnel,
Add traffic,
a low ticket product that feeds into a back-end system. That
but we had different problems we were solving at the current time. Right. And like her business, just the way it's structured, like she just doesn't need that right now. I'm like, you're going to get so much further with your particular model if we are just closing this many, high ticket clients a month, then let's add these other things. But it's like, she was trying to take, and she was doing what she was advised to do. And I'm not even blaming that other person, but I'm like, this for me is why as a business coach, I can't just be like, this works for me, let's do it for you, which is essentially what was happening previously. Or when someone tells me, just as they tell me they have this certain problem, does not mean I take it at face value. She didn't think her problem was her sales page. She didn't think her problem was that like, you know what I mean? She needed to not even worry about the funnel right now. She thought that like, oh, I do need to optimize this funnel. Oh, I do need to get this like masterclass selling. And I'm like, actually, you don't. So like, I don't always just assume because you tell me a certain problem is a problem, then that's actually the problem.
Right. And
I look at your whole business and you and like what's going on, and then I'll let you know
I'll let you know what the problem is.
What the problem is. I'm pretty accurate. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then it's just interesting. And then there was phases in my business where I did need to bring in low ticket, right? And I did the exact opposite of what I was telling her to do, but I didn't have a high ticket sales problem.
What's so funny is I got a comment on, we're continuing in the vein of trolls and comments. I got a comment saying that I was so I was contradicting myself, because when people don't have this level of nuance, or they don't know why you're doing something, or why you would advise one client to do this and one client to do that, it can look contradictory. And this is yet another reason why you can't just look at someone posting on the internet and be like, you said this and then you said that. Like, I think it was because I said, like, my big thing, the conversation that, I've been having with my people is, be relatable, add value, like, doesn't get you all the way to a sale. Like, there's actual.
Correct.
Correct. Well, this person was like, well, you said that value doesn't do anything, but in your previous post, you're giving value and then you're selling something. So you're really contradicting yourself. And it's really like creating a lack of trust within me. And I was like, again, comprehension. I've been very consistent in saying that giving value doesn't get you all the way to
and like
sales.
Technically you are giving value by telling them that not, you know what I mean? It's like,
right,
by
like,
saying
I didn't say don't give value. I didn't say never post on social media anything that people want to watch. Like,
yeah. But people don't understand.
But
the thing is, I get that they're trying to be like, oh, that contradiction of like, well, here you are giving value by telling us not to give value. And I'm like, okay, sure. If we want to slice and dice it 45 different, was she's going to be silent and communicate the message through telepathy?
I mean, if I could wave a magic wand, I would be more rich. Like,
yeah. But the thing is that they don't understand is like the nuance they're not understanding is what is normally taught as value-based marketing. Mm-hmm. What is normally taught as, oh, you know how I went on my whole thing about vulnerability marketing last year? Wow. Like, don't get me started. And what is taught, whereas like when it's productive and when it's not. Mm-hmm. But what is taught is vulnerability marketing. What is taught is being relatable. It's not like, oh, these concepts never work. You're arguing against the mainstream way of teaching them, and you have about 2 seconds to do it in an ad.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Critical thinking here.
I'm going to keep coming back to this. Like, this is why it's so important to have like mentorship, because when you have these questions,
which these people must not have. I know.
Like, right? Or they think, well, this person had been in marketing for years. And I was like, and you don't understand what's happening. Okay.
Then you should know. Right? Then what was going on?
But and I don't want my whole episode, Jocelyn, to be about like clapping back at the trolls, but this is why it's so important to have like somebody you could bounce these ideas off of and like dive into this nuance and think critically about these things. Because if you're going to end up with a shell of a marketing strategy leading to nothing on the back end of your business and wondering why you're not making money.
Well, exactly. And this is the thing where I caution people with and like the troll clapback thing is like, we're coming from a teaching lens. I can't even tell you the last time I paid attention to a troll, but we just had a moment last week.
I know.
Because what really got me is not that people are saying stuff, people be saying stuff at the time. It's just the lack of like information and understanding that people genuinely have about business. And it's like, literally, I'm sure this woman is amazing. There's probably so many ways where her and I would totally vibe in person and all this stuff. But it's like that lack of understanding about business. And then also on a more personal level, what has occurred in our lives that we have so little trust that we can't even grow a company because we are on the lookout for everyone to be a scam artist. Like, that's actually sad. Imagine trying to create love from that place. Imagine trying to grow a business from that place. Imagine trying to heal anything you have been through from that place. Like, you're going to be very alone.
For sure. And you're going to be thinking that anything that could possibly help you is a scam.
Is a lie.
So I'm only going to stick to these like little low ticket digital product things on the off chance that it's actually something good. And probably
critique it and say how it was horrible and it didn't make me $1 million at $33.
Right. And try to build my business off the back of 4,000 Instagram carousels that I saved and never looked at again.
Yeah. So that's why I really bring it up, because I'm like, let's not be that. And none of my clients act like that, but it's just, I follow the poll and that's where the poll went. And also, it was just funny because I was like, I literally took this out of my DMs yesterday. Like, it was just so in opposition to what she was saying about me. And I was like, you don't put like screen grabs on threads. Like, threads is a more like casual, chatty,
Right.
chill. I'm like, come on.
Girl.
But I love all of this. And, it's okay. It's just like we're all just navigating being visible. Like we would rather have visibility problems than no visibility problems if we're
Right.
going to be having problems. And where were you just for when I think by the time you had completed in the revolution, you were around like, was it 30K months?
On that side of the business, when did I wrap
Like
up
on
in the
your
revolution?
coaching
Oh,
side.
no. We were at 60.
You told me your last 2 months. Oh, did you finish that recently?
Yeah, I think I was done in end of January in the
Yeah.
revolution.
It was
And
this year.
It was December, January were the 60K.
Where there were
We're
50,
yeah.
60. Okay. Well, I love all of this. And I'm just so happy that I have been able to contribute to your journey and like these ways. And I'm just so excited for where you are now and like what it shows people is possible. And that like big money is not a scam.
No, not a
And
scam.
that accelerating your income when you actually are like, you know what I mean? Learn how to do it in the ways that are going to work for you is not a scam.
It's not a scam, but
And
I think it can appear like a scam if you think that you're
yeah.
just going to come replicate someone else's strategy and it's going to make you $1
And
million.
get the result. Yeah. It won't. There's so many pieces, right? And also it's not a scam if you're like, well, I bought the one thing and it hasn't worked. It's like, it might take a year. Donata went on this journey for a year.
Yep.
And also there was a time before I even met you.
Right.
So that was just the year that I know about. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And things take time to implement, right? Like I was
Yeah.
implementing email funnels and all kinds of stuff on the back end, testing ad creative, like all kinds of things need to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
So anyway, let's just be the people who get in the room, who stay in the room, who can handle when it's like not working yet. We optimize, we refine, and we are going to get somewhere, like the end. So anyone who's kind of like on the fence or about coming into my world, coming into the revolution, or just kind of like being in a space where you do get access to so much of my world plus the proximity, and they have not made a move yet, what would you say?
I would say if you're not sure what you want from Jocelyn, you have to go get in the revolution. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, you get everything. You get Jocelyn live. You get the community. You get every single program and masterclass she's ever created ever. Like, you're going to learn something. And even if that something is the stuff that you get from one of the programs, or if it's just from watching Jocelyn operate in her element in this container and in all of the containers, like you're going to learn, you're going to get exactly what you need out of it. And I think it was so genius of you to create the revolution for that reason. It's just like, I could come in and kind of take what I needed.
Yeah. And I love that too, because also no matter whether it's like the main mastermind you're in, or in your case, right? Because it's more of like a membership / mastermind, whereas my like all out mastermind is Fempire. But it's like, remember too, it can complement other things that you're doing. Cause you were like, oh, this is amazing. Cause I'm in this like true, probably higher ticket masterminds.
Yeah,
And then I can also do this.
absolutely. I love it for that reason. I have been working with a coach for several years, but I wanted to learn from you. Like, why are we limiting ourselves on who we can learn from and how? Like, oh, I'm in a mastermind, so I can't join anything
I
else.
can't do anything else until this closes. I'm like, how's that going for you?
No, that's never been my vibe. Like, if I want to learn from somebody or speed up my results or invest somewhere, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
And I'd love to hear like our last thing on that topic too, because I feel a lot of people play this like waiting game with investing and they like don't realize how sabotagey it is. I'm going to wait for this one container to end. Even worse, I'm going to wait until these months go up. Even worse again, I'm going to integrate and then I'm like, this is all sabotage and you're like dressing it up as something else.
It's so wild to me because like these same people, like you've heard about compound interest, right? Like if your results speed up a little bit in month 1 or month 2, by month 12, like you're in a completely different world than if you had waited and invested that same amount of money or time or energy later.
Yeah. this is what they don't understand. They like start to get a result and like their scarcity kicks in and they're like, okay, now I'm going to like figure it out. And I'm like, the spiritual women love to say they're integrating. I'm like, babe, where did you hear this in the real world? This isn't even a thing.
Speed is the name of the game. And if you're going to build a 7-figure business, you have to be able to move and integrate at the same time.
And that's it. Right?
Like,
this
period.
is why when I teach, even just on the energetic level, it's not just like woo woo, whatever. I'm like, and this is what we're doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
These things can happen simultaneously. So like, I also really think people need to like stop lying to themselves who say they want certain results. It's like, get in the game and stay in the game. Like, this is how you live now. You don't like kind of come in and then like kind of dip out and then be like, oh, but I want to make $1 million. Like, we need to get on board with what it's like, right? And it's like, I find that people who do a lot of like back and forth on that front also are the same people who have a hard time continuing momentum.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say don't take breaks, but like, don't give yourself rest.
In life.
But yeah.
Yeah, of course. I don't mean foot on the gas. I'm saying like people who lie to themselves because they're scared of investing.
Right. And it's always like, and I just posted, we're always on the same wavelength. I just posted something about this today. It's like, you know, you scrolling the internet and saving all these posts about what you're going to do one day, what you're going to implement one day. Oh, I'm going to work with this person one day. Let me base my entire strategy off of what somebody posted in one carousel. Like, it gives you the feeling of like having activity, like doing things, but you're not moving. You're like running on a treadmill, doing nothing. And then you're wondering why your business isn't growing. You're doing the same shit over and over and over again, hoping that it somehow magically works better this time than it did the other 2,300 times you did it.
Well, this is the same as people who love to inquire about mentorship and ask you 100 questions and they don't move forward ever. It's like this type of person thinks that they're doing something. I wrote about this last year or something where I'm like, all you're doing is borrowing other people's time for your ego. Like, you think you're getting clarity. And I'm not saying don't ask questions. Like, it's totally valid to ask questions. But you know that vein of person who's just asking questions? They're almost looking for a reason to talk themselves out of it. They're not just like, hey, I'm basically already in. I just have this, like, we're in different time zones. I'm just wondering about this. Like, there's such valid questions. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. That type of person who's just in your inbox wasting time and who's looking for reasons like not to move forward. I'm like, you have convinced yourself that you're gaining clarity, getting information. No, you're not. You're like literally lying to yourself, making yourself think that you're moving forward, but you're not. And that, I don't really get that much of that anymore, but there's such a frequency on that. Like, I know it. They don't even have to say, it's like the first words out and I already know what it is.
Yep.
Which shows you the potency of the lie on that energy, you know, and it's not, no one's doing it on purpose, but I'm like, you're just using other people's time for you to lie to yourself.
Right. And I think that's why it's so important to like be real with yourself about like, are you actually moving or are you like doing activities to make yourself feel like you're moving? So when you finally have to say like, oh yeah, my business isn't working, you can say, well, I tried so hard. You tried hard, meaning you did a lot of stuff, but you never got uncomfortable. Like you never moved forward.
Not really. It's so interesting because nobody does it on purpose.
Right.
You know, like I don't think people are really sitting there thinking that. But it's very, I'm like, people spend a lot of time lying to themselves.
And it's funny because I think the people who need that message the most probably don't listen to this podcast. So
I mean, I've had clients who are amazing, who are like, who do, or they're like, whoa, like I didn't not people who are just wasting times in the DMs. My clients don't do stuff like that. They ask normal questions. I'm just speaking about the internet in general. But I'm saying I've had people listen to things and be like, wow, I realized that like they're waiting. Because how it can show up a lot is like the waiting frequency. Oh, I don't know what my offer is, so I don't know if I should sign up for this thing. I'm like, why don't you just get in here and then all the things will land? You know what I mean? I don't know. You just all sorts of stuff. I still have my full-time job, so, or well, I haven't like built the program, so it's not ready to sell, so I don't need to learn how to sell. I'm like, first of all, you can sell a program and build it at the same time. Like, what are we talking about? Do you know what I mean? It's basically just waiting dressed up in other language. So I've had people be like, yeah, okay, I realized I was doing that, who are amazing and like high functioning and self-responsible, but just like don't realize again, like, the energetics that they're operating from.
Right.
You know? And then, of course, there's people who are, to your point. But, you know, this is why it's good to know who your aligned clients are.
Exactly. And speak only to them. And everybody else can GTFO.
and hang out in the comments section on my ads.
Or not.
Thanks for the engagement.
Block. Goodbye.
Oh my goodness. And it's so funny because like I don't actually know people who do stuff like this. So it's like this category of person like I don't get. Like I don't have a profile for them in real life. We just see them troll on the internet, but I'm like, who are they real? Like I've never trolled anyone. Like I've never gone onto anybody's post and said anything.
I
It's
cannot
never even crossed
imagine
my
having
mind.
the energy.
Time.
Like, where's the energy or time coming from? That's my question. Like, you don't have anything more productive to do than this?
I don't know. I think they're like, they think they're being like social justice warriors on the internet, is what I really think they're doing, where they're like, I am exposing the lies.
Okay. Go for it, babes.
Go for it, babes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Janata. If anybody would like to, obviously your links are going to be in episode notes. If anyone would like to get in touch with you, what are the best ways?
Instagram, I'm so chronically online. My Instagram, I'm always on. So I'm Donata White on Instagram. Or you can go to donatawhite.com and find me there and all the things that I'm doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
This was so much fun.
Hi, gorgeous. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you'd like to get in touch with Donata, a reminder, her links are going to be in show notes. This was like a very candid conversation, so I'm curious to hear what you think. Of course, if you are watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit subscribe. And guys, you can also now we're going to be adding video to Spotify. I haven't yet. I need to like update my Spotify. But you can always watch the podcast on YouTube now for the video version, which I'm super excited about. And a reminder to come join us inside the revolution. If you are inside of Enchanted Sales, Magnify, Manifest, Receive, you've made a purchase in the past 30 days, you do have credits that apply. Email assistant@jocelynkellyreed.com and we will help you with that, or shoot me a DM. Otherwise, come join. Like it's March. It's almost April. By the time this comes out, because today's Friday, right? It'll be April. April 1st is my birthday. Why don't you come join on my birthday? Come join on my birthday and we can celebrate together. You will just love this space. It will change your business. It will change your money. It will change your human. It will change your levels of awareness. It will change the speed at which you manifest, the speed at which you receive. Like business in my world is multidimensional, and this is why my clients stay for years, right? It's not just like we don't do like how to go viral. We're like how to be unshakable women with huge timeless brands, and we build them at the same time, smartly, smarter, richer, not harder. That's what I was going to say. So anyhow, come join us inside the revolution. Links in episode notes. Of course, join us in Magnify, Manifest, Receive as well. You can still join at over 60% off, 60% off with your first payment of only $139. Wealth energetics to fuel rapid client attraction, eliminate upper income limits, tap into money through desire over push, covering everything that you could possibly imagine that you were going to come up against in business, and how to navigate powerfully and increasing that magnetism around what you do so that you can like see the potent results. And part of feminine business is putting in half the work, getting twice the result. And isn't that what we like to see? So a reminder, you're able to rate and review the podcast, receive $200 off. Any offer, this will apply to the revolution. This will apply to Magnify, Manifest, Receive. It does not apply to Secret Money. It's the only thing it doesn't apply to, although you should definitely join the Secret Money membership. This is mentorship and access to everything low ticket in my world for less than $2 a day. It's like an absolute no-brainer. Everybody's obsessed with it. Plus, if you get in there and you're like, okay, I want to do other things, you guys have the best prices on all the other offers in my world. There's so many upgrade opportunities, all the different things. So come join Secret Money because it's like an absolute no-brainer. So I love you so much. Please drop a comment. Let me know how you felt about the episode. Hit my DMs. Let me know how you felt about the episode. Of course, please remember to share it with any women in your life who you know would be impacted powerfully. I continue to hear such great things. Like, thank you so much for all of your feedback. And those of you who are saying like things are just changing in your life so rapidly, even from listening to the show. And then of course, when you come into my world, they get even better. And that's what we love. So I love you and I will be back soon.